On this week's FPL Happy Hour, this guy and I was like, "Do you mind changing your name? But also, you used our image, like." And he was like, "I haven't used your image." And I was like, "I've sent you a tweet which has the image that you used with our name on it. What do you mean you haven't used our image? Unless by coincidence you're also called with Sham and Rob, like." Hello and welcome to the 14th episode of our podcast, FPL Happy Hour, with me, Sham, otherwise known as FPL 2 Guys 1 Cup on Twitter.
And myself, Rob, otherwise known as FPL Panda.
Rob, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, all good. Interesting week for FPL and an interesting evening for our bank holiday Monday as well.
Yeah,
We had a bit of a stalker slash
yeah, we did.
impersonator.
We did. I'll tell that story for a second, right? So, for those that haven't seen it on Twitter, so I got a message from one of my friends on WhatsApp, who's within our like FPL group, Satch, who also listens to the pod, and he was like, "Oh, I went to follow you on Twitter. Is this you?" And it was a screenshot of this account, FPL Happy Hour. And bear in mind, we are at FPL_Happy Hour. And we were like, I looked at this and I was like, no, this isn't us. But I was thinking maybe Rob has set up like a blog account because this guy had like set up a blog called like FPL Happy Hour and was tweeting from it and everything. And then I looked at the Twitter account and his pinned tweet. So the first tweet that he sent was like, "Welcome to our account, FPL Happy Hour, blah, 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 blah." And then it was a screenshot of our logo with the words with Sham and Rob on it. So I was like, what? Like, okay, fine, you want to call yourself FPA Happy or whatever. Like, obviously I'm not happy with that, but it is what it is. Like, I can't stop you from doing that. But then you're using like our logo with our name on it. Like, it just doesn't make sense. And then so then I thought then I thought, okay, well, Rob must have set this account up just to blog from it or something for us. So then obviously I tried to get hold of you and you were like, no, what the fuck are you talking about? So yeah, anyway, it turned so then I messaged this guy and I was like, do you mind changing your name? But also, you used our image, like, and he was like, I haven't used your image. And I was like, I've sent you a tweet which has the image that you used with our name on it. What do you mean you haven't used our image? Unless by coincidence you're also called with Sham and Rob. Like it just doesn't make sense. But yeah, like off. So then obviously we tweeted it out, but I think by the morning he deleted the account or whatever. But yeah, that was very, very, very weird yesterday.
Yeah.
Because why would anyone want to do that? Like, it's not like we're a huge, massive account that you want to try and impersonate. We're just a small
Yet.
FPL account.
Yet.
Yet,
Yet.
yet,
That's
yet.
that could be the start of good things for us.
Yeah, what people wanting to copy us.
Yeah. I
Um,
I wouldn't have copied me this week, so
and then today we tagged in a few big accounts to help us kind of talk about. So obviously we've spoken about it a few times over when the Euros are on. We're going to be talking about the Euros every few days. And our idea, well, my idea, and Rob was like, "Yeah, okay, fine, let's go with it." Was that let's try and get a representative from every country in Europe and talk to them for about an hour, and we'll talk to them and we'll obviously put it out as a podcast so that anyone that's looking to get one of their fancy assets can get a better understanding of their country, but also just to who are their main players, what do they think, blah 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 blah. And yeah, it kind of went a bit mad today. Like, I think
yeah.
we'd only got 7 before, and now we're up to 16, which is really good. So there's
Yeah.
only 8 countries left.
Yeah, it's still got.
So
Well, we've had a couple of people being mentioned that are from North Macedonia, but we're still waiting for it.
yeah, for the confirmation.
Yeah. Otherwise, we're getting Rob picked to do the research as a punishment for just being a twat.
Well, there could be a good option after beating Germany the other day. You never know.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's definitely exciting. I think even for those not playing the fantasy game and just interested in the tournament as a whole, I think it will be yeah, it might be a few interesting podcasts in there, especially about teams that you're not too sure who the players are or anything. It just gives you that background because football fans generally, like, I try and watch every single game during a major tournament, and yeah, I'd probably it's basically having you know how you get those little guide manuals. It's basically going to be that in
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
group of podcasts. So yeah,
yeah,
it'll be good fun. It'll be busy though.
yeah.
I'm not
It,
looking forward to the recording.
you're going
That's
to be organising all the timings and stuff, aren't you?
yeah, it's not going to be fun. The
We
actual
still need,
recording will be fun, but the
yeah,
planning of it.
organisation. Yeah. So we still need people from Croatia, Finland, Hungary, North Macedonia, Russia, and is it Slovakia or Slovenia? Slovakia,
Slovakia, yeah.
Slovakia, Ukraine, and Wales. So those are the countries that we still need. So if you are from one of those countries, or you know someone that is, and they would be interested in talking to us about their footballing aspirations for their country, please drop us a DM.
Yeah, definitely.
Uh, right. Anyway, on to tonight's pod. That was a big introduction.
That's the admin out of the way.
Yeah, exactly. So tonight we're going to be talking about wild cards. We are both on a wild card, so we're going to be going through position by position who we think we're going to be choosing for our wild card, but also a pool of players within those positions that we're looking at, and some reasons why we're looking at those. I think that's kind of going to be the basis of our discussion tonight. We'll then go on to our usual 5v5 and then a few questions that we received. But before we get there, let's talk about how we both did the game week just gone.
Yeah, let's do that. So my game week started off really promisingly. Rafinha could have come away with a goal and an assist the other night, but his goal was stolen from him. With the goal was gaping, um, and who was the defender that put it in? But bastard. But yeah, so yeah, his haul just turned into a little miniature haul. But a lot of people generally have him now, so you don't really get many gains off it. So yeah, 6 points from him, 4 points from Soufal last night. He got the early assist, and for the first half an hour, I think I was fairly confident of a West Ham clean sheet. They looked quite solid, and then Wolves just, I don't know, they just seemed to turn it on a little bit, and I think West Ham would you consider yourself lucky to get the result in the end?
No, I don't think we were lucky. I think Wolves definitely had the chances, but I think if Jimenez was playing, they could have either won the game or equalised at least. I don't think I don't think it was lucky. Like, we managed it well from 3-2. They didn't really have many chances, clear cut anyway.
There was
But
a good
definitely not.
sort of 15-20 minute spell towards the end of the first half, and when Wolves were, and even the third goal,
Yeah,
um, that was it was just a complete counter attack, wasn't it? I mean, it was brilliant to watch. Right, all the goals
all
were
three
great goals.
goals were class.
Yeah,
Yeah,
um,
they're all class.
all to Lingardinho himself, or should we start calling Ronaldinho like Ronald
No,
Lingard,
no. Lingard's new name is Messi Lingard,
Messi
not Jesse
Lingard?
Lingard.
Shouldn't it
Messi
be
Lingard.
fucking Leo Lingard?
Yeah.
Yeah, start naming Messi after him. Anyway, um, who else did I have? Martinez, 4 points. Again, that looked like it was going to be a haul at one point. I think when he conceded, he was on for a 10-pointer because he was making saves all over the shop. Dallas, 2 points. Alonso, I mean, it was the worst 1 week punt ever, wasn't it? on Chelsea. I think the red card just completely changed the game, and then when West Brom went in at the break 2-1 up, Chelsea, they made changes to then go at West Brom, and then it just left them so vulnerable. And they were like, there were times when they were playing with two defenders. Chelsea were, and yeah, credit to West Brom, they took advantage and punished them. Who else did I have? Souček, just a 1-pointer. Bruno, standard, gets an assist. Son was disappointed that he didn't start, but I was kind of hopeful we'd get something when he came on at half time, but that didn't happen. Calvert-Lewin, now that shocked me, the way how negative Everton were last night against Palace.
It's a good job he didn't have the balls to captain him, isn't it?
Yeah, I was very close, and yeah,
you were never close.
I was close. I was touching cloth. Yeah, and that was so negative. Everton were like,
they did have a few chances, to be fair.
they had a few chances, but it just it wasn't like they really just threw everything at Palace and like took the game to them. Yeah, it was disappointing that way, because I thought it was going to be one of those games where either Calvert-Lewin or Richarlison just absolutely hauled, like get a couple of goals and assists, like do it all, and yeah, it just didn't come to any fruition. Bamford seems to have a blank every other game, isn't it? So it was going to be this week he had a blank, and then hopefully next week he comes out, and then Harry Kane. Harry Kane doing what Harry Kane does best, finishing chances. Yeah, two half chances and both scored. Yeah, and I think, yeah, in hindsight now, it would have been really silly to have gone anywhere but Harry Kane against that Newcastle defence. To be honest, the only thing worse than the Newcastle defence the other day was the Spurs defence. Yeah, so
And the Wolves defence last night.
and the Wolves defence. I mean, it was like bloody Moses parting of the Red Sea when linked the first goal and the third goal.
There was on the third goal. I think I remember there being 5 around Lingard. I don't know why anyone just doesn't take the yellow there. Like, I don't understand. Like, we did that a few times last night against Troy. We just took the yellow, but you need to sometimes. Someone should have just bloody fouled him.
Yeah,
like, I don't understand.
Yeah, you got to think like someone like Connor Cody, or I mean him or Romain Says, like they've got that in them just to go, yeah, fuck it, I'll kick him. Like,
yeah, take the yellow.
Yeah, and like especially after the first goal, like he's done it once, and then the third one, you're letting him do it again. But yeah, credit to Messi Lingard, and yeah, he's put in some good performances, and yeah, well, I think we'll talk about him shortly. But all in the end, 56 points. It's above average, but it was a red arrow of about 4k from 99k down to 103, like the lowly depths of going back to a 6-figure rank.
Thanks, mate.
So yeah, how did your week get on?
It was looking shocking until last night. So finished on 63. Had Martinez, Safal, Alonso, Dallas. Went with the 1 week punt on Alonso. Didn't really pay off. And then Son. Well, I guess the first thing to say is I started Stones and Gundogan, and neither one of them played. And I had Cancelo on the bench, and he didn't play either. So all of my City players didn't play, which is annoying considering I had 2 defenders. So that pissed me off. But yeah, so then Lookman came in, and Safal came in for them. Lingard I had last night and did bits for me. He's done really well for me since I've brought him in. And then I had Calvert-Lewin, Bamford, and Kane. And Kane captain. Overall, 63 points. A small green arrow from 280 to 250. I can't complain. It wasn't a great game week, but I still managed to get a green arrow. So
I think
not
that
bad.
like the running theme was this week is the fact that those with three City players still, even after the blank, um, a lot of them had like Pereira sitting third sub, like
Yeah.
like the jam involved in that. Like you've got three City
Well,
players and they none of them feature, and you end up getting your third sub for his like what was it, 18 points, 17 points?
the
Like
the funny thing is, right? So on FPL draft, I was facing someone this week that on the bench had Johnston, Diagne, Pereira, and someone else, Robinson, all on the bench. I was like, fucking hell! Like, Diagne ended up coming in, and I lost my draft match by 1 point. But yeah, that was mad. Like,
um I mean we'll probably as we look into our wild cards, I think we'll talk a lot about City and the risks over the next few weeks, especially after seeing them take control more or less in the first leg of their quarter-final Champions League game. So yeah, it's I think they're a quandary at the moment, the City assets, but I think we'll go into that when we look into our wildcards.
yeah, good segue, mate. So, right, let's talk about wildcards then. So, we're going to split this up in talk about goalkeepers, defenders, midfielders, and attackers. We'll talk about each of ours, who we've chosen for goalkeeper, um, who each of us have chosen for goalkeepers, and then kind of work it out from there. So, should we do that bit by bit?
Yep, let's do that. So first of all, we'll have a look at my two keepers. So I've gone with a rotation of Leno and Sanchez from Brighton. Now, looking at the fixtures over the next few weeks, I think you want some Arsenal coverage and defence because they've got Sheffield United at the weekend. Then they've got Fulham. Then they've got Everton at home, um, who have been struggling to score goals. We've seen the last couple of weeks, but that's probably not um, the fixture that I'll have Sanchez in, that I'll have Leno in. But if we look at Brighton in game week 33, whilst Everton and Arsenal face off against each other, Brighton have got Sheffield United. So that's one of the reasons I got Sanchez in. And then in 36, Arsenal play Chelsea, whilst Brighton play West Ham. Now that's probably the only week where it's like really up in the air, and it'll probably be a case of how I feel at the time about Chelsea and West Ham. Who do I think will be the more threatening at the time? At the moment, I think I'd be backing Leno against Chelsea rather than Sanchez against West Ham. Then 37, I'd have Leno against Palace, and 38, Leno against Brighton. Now, I think it's something that I've thought about a lot, and I've really wanted to keep Martinez in, but it's like the next couple of weeks. I don't want to be playing Martinez against Liverpool, against City. Um, and he's got the good fixture against West Brom, but then he's got Everton, then he's got United, then he's got a good fixture against Palace, but then he's got Spurs and then Chelsea. It's just for what's Martinez now, 5.7, 5.8. I need him to be playing more than two game weeks in these last eight. So it just led me towards Leno and some of that Arsenal coverage. What about yourself?
So I've gone with Leno and Forrester. So I really like Arsenal's fixtures, as you've alluded to. In 36, when Arsenal have um, Chelsea, Southampton have Fulham. So I think
Yeah,
that's quite a good fixture. Considering is it Forrester?
Forster.
Forster,
I
Forster,
was just gonna
um,
let you. I was gonna let you just keep
Forster.
saying that.
um, and Southampton also have a double coming up. We don't know when that is, but they've got Palace to play at some point. So goalkeepers in doubles are pretty good. Although in the last double it was McCarthy and Forster that kind of just played one each, but I don't know whether or not that's going to happen again. So yeah, I think as a 4.0, that's not a bad option. But yeah, Leno I think has really good fixtures. Other options. So one thing to say, in my team, I've probably only got 5 or 6 players that are guaranteed that I'm not going to be taken out. It's very much up in the air at the moment, which we'll talk about soon, and why and what permutations we can have. So just kind of other pools of players that I'm thinking. Mendy is another option for me, and potentially Lloris. I think Lloris obviously has got that double. A lot of people are thinking, who do I go for that third Spurs player with the double in 32 against Everton and Southampton? But then on the weekend, you saw the defense wasn't great, so it's whether or not you want to take that risk. But Lloris does get good points for saves. Like, he does make quite a few saves. And then you've obviously got Mendy. So Chelsea have got really good fixtures in the next couple of games, but then the concern is, for defenders, are they going to play? So obviously Mendy generally will play, so that's an option for goalkeepers. Is there anyone else that you're thinking of?
So originally I did have the idea of now I mean, to do this, you'd have to use a transfer on a keeper probably, unless you've got an insane amount of money sitting there, and that would be to go Patricio and Forster. So Forster would just sit there as your bench, then Patricio until game week 36, and then go from Patricio to either Allison or Meslier for the last 3 game weeks. Leeds have got Burnley, Southampton, and West Brom, but then Liverpool. So if you haven't tripled up on Liverpool and you've got that space sitting there, they've got West Brom, Burnley, and Palace, which you'd think for Allison is probably 24 points
Yeah,
sitting right there. But yeah, it's not like the ideal thing to do, especially so late in the season, to be transferring keepers, especially when you really just want to be concentrating on attacking the fixtures. So yeah, it was an idea I had, but yeah, probably not one. But yeah, like Wolves, their next 4 or 5 fixtures even are really good. Fulham, Sheffield United, Burnley, West Brom, Brighton. But I think after for Bowen's goal last night, where Patricio got beaten at his near post so easily, it just made me sort of second guess myself a little bit. So I'd probably, yeah, wouldn't be touching Patricio, not at his price, because he is 5.3. I think if there's that susceptibility for like the goals that we saw last night and the defence capitulating like that, I don't want to be paying more than 4.8 or something like that for him, really. Um,
yeah,
but it's one for maybe the listeners to ponder.
yeah. Should we move on to defenders?
So yeah, with my defenders, I've gone doubled up on the Liverpool defence. We've just spoken about how they've got those nice fixtures in the last sort of 3 or 4 game weeks. So first of all, Nat Phillips, his price 4 million, it kind of just sums it up really. Starting for the defending champions, they're desperate to get in the Champions League for next season. Otherwise, things could go really wrong for them in the summer. Players will start wanting to leave, etc. He's actually got some attacking threat. I read somewhere that he'd actually had more shots on goal than Quebec and Robertson, I think it was, for the whole season in the last like 3 or 4 games that he's played. So yeah, really good option. It was him or Quebec, and the price plus his aerial threat from set pieces does it for me. Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now he isn't a lock in on my wild card because if I want to move to Salah, I think I need that money. But at the moment, he's in my team. He looks like he's returning to some sort of form. A couple of big hauls in a row. And again, I think Liverpool are going to really be chasing results, and he'll be, I think, given a bit of a with Fabinho and Henderson looking like that pairing's going to be there again for a while. Then, yeah, I think he'll get given that more license to get forward and attack. So yeah, I'm not too worried about the double up on the defence. Not like I was sort of after Christmas when we just weren't sure where the clean sheets were going to come from for Liverpool. Then I've got Reece James, probably the most attacking out of the Chelsea defenders. Seems like he's locked himself in now at right back for Chelsea. Again, gets forward, bombs up and down the right hand side. The Chelsea fixtures good. I think you need some coverage for them. We saw them ship 5 at the weekend, but on another day, I think if Thiago Silva doesn't get sent off, I think it's a comfortable 2 or 3-0 win for Chelsea. The way that the game was shaping, so it's a bit of a anomaly. The result of the weekend. Luke Shaw, he's just been brilliant this season. One thing is I'm regretting not bringing him in my last wildcard in game week 16 because he has been really good since. United have looked better defensively. I think those attacking returns from him I think he's still got more attacking returns coming from him, despite maybe the slightly harder fixtures for United, but they do seem to perform better against the better sides who are more likely to attack them. So that's why I'm sticking with Luke. And then Vladimir Sufal. I can't get rid of him. I think it's just the fact that the West Ham defence just looks very resolute at the moment. And he's the cheaper option of the 2 fullbacks. Like Cresswell's quite a lot more expensive. And we saw him get forward last night against Wolves. He picked up an assist, although it wasn't like it was one of those glory assists where the attacker does all the work, because it was the assist for Jesse Lingard's like 45-yard run up the pitch.
Just one thing on Sifal, and you'll see this from my team when I talk about it. With Rice's injury now and probably out for 4 to 6 weeks, I think we go back to a back 5 with Cresswell playing left centre back and Masuaku playing left wing back, with Sifal playing right wing back, and Masuaku's 4.3 million. So I think he's actually a really good option for those that I'm not sure what Sufal's price is right now. I think a lot of people got on him a while ago, but I think he might be 4.8 or 4.9 now. I'm not really sure.
4.6.
4.6. So if you want to buy now, he's 4.6.
Oh, actually, no, he's probably not. That's the price if I sell him.
Yeah,
Will be 4.6. Yeah, I'll be able to dig it out.
so I think Masuaku is a really good option there. That so yeah, actually, Sifal is 4.6. Sifal, I would say, is more nailed than Masuaku because it depends. Like some games, he might go to a back four, in which case Masuaku probably drops out. But 4.3 million, I think he's one to think about if you are like 0.12, short.
He got the assist. Didn't he get the assist for 4 nows as well
Yeah,
last night?
yeah,
Yeah, I was like, oh, when did I didn't even realize it started.
yeah.
And
Just
yeah, I
came
was
back
just
from
like,
injury.
yeah, I was like, oh, I recognise you. Um, yeah, so yeah, I think especially in the last few games, um, like those last five West Ham, um, I think you kind of need some defensive coverage from them. Um, maybe even in the last, well, five of the last seven. Yeah, I think you need some defensive coverage from them because there's clean sheets to be had there. And yeah, you want probably the more accessible ones because yeah, even though there is the potential for attacking returns, they're not they're not pouring forward, are they? The only one that you can almost rely on for attacking returns is Cresswell, and that's why you're paying the big bucks for him, as it were.
Yeah.
So what about your defenders?
So I've got, as I've spoken about, Masuaku just because I think he's a good option to have on the bench for now, at least, until we've got those plum fixtures. And I would say none of these five, apart from maybe Masuaku, is nailed from my wild card because I think there's a pool of maybe 10 players that I've got to choose from. Um, a lot of it depends on who I've go for in midfield, as you can see for those that are on the video at the moment in my midfield. And again, we'll talk about midfielders a bit later, but I haven't got Bruno and I've got Salah. So I'm also thinking about maybe going double Liverpool defence. And then obviously I won't then have Salah and I'll have Bruno instead, but it's really difficult. At the moment, I've got Masuaku, Saiss, Alonso, TA and Rudiger. I still like the double Chelsea defence, even though they conceded 5 on the weekend. Obviously, apparently there was a training ground bust up or something, and Rudiger was involved, and that's why he didn't start. But with Thiago not playing now for at least one fixture being sent off, I think Rudiger does come back in. I really like TAA. I'm trying to do everything I can to try and keep him in. But it's really difficult. I still like Alonso as an option. I know that he's going to be bent some games, but on the weekend he could have easily scored a goal. Like easily, he had the best chances of the game for Chelsea. Like, I think there was 2 good chances where he should have scored, and then obviously if they don't get a man sent off, that's a goal assist and a clean sheet, really. So when he plays, he is a massive attacking threat. I think it's still, if I can try and squeeze Alonso in, I will try and have him. But other options, you've got Reguilon from Spurs. A lot of people are thinking about doing the triple up. He's an option. They've got good fixtures to the back end of the season, but also obviously they've got the double in 32. Another one that I'm thinking about obviously is Nat Phillips, like you've spoken about, Rob. And I think it's within those kind of players. I really like Shaw as well, and think it's going to be 5 out of those kind of 9 to 10 players for me. But it all depends on who I go for in midfield and attack. On this wild card, I'm 250k. What I'm trying to do is kind of go with an all-in strategy. So not singular players from singular teams going with, like for example, 3 Liverpool, double Leicester, double Spurs, double Chelsea, double West Ham, just like go all in. So yeah, that's.
Cool.
But it,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, go on.
Let's look at. No, I said it all depends on kind of what your rank is and what it is that you're trying to go after.
Hmm.
But yeah, let's look at midfielders.
So first of all, we've gone with Bruno. Um, Bruno's Bruno. Don't think need to expand on him. He can return against anyone. He's proved it time and time again. I'm going to stick with my man. Um, next. I've gone Jota. Um, like just an enabler. Like his price point, I can't see. Like last week, we saw him benched and then he came on and tore it up. I can't see him being benched at the moment now. I think he's pretty locked into that Liverpool side because they're a better side with him in that front three. Um, no, nothing against Firmino, but they move the ball so much quicker with him in that front three, and he actually makes Salah more of an option as well because of the way that Jota moves out onto the uh, moves out further onto towards the left, and it allows Salah to come into the space there. Neto really impressed me last night. I think against one of the weaker sides, he comes out of a haul. Um, he created a few big chances. Yeah, no, there's nothing last night that kind of moved me away from what we'd spoken about for the last couple of weeks with the Wolves assets, and I want one of the Wolves assets, but probably not one of their defenders right now. Um, and yeah, Traore just hasn't done it for me this season. If Podence didn't re re-injure himself last night, then I might have considered him as well. But yeah, Neto at 5.7, it's a great price for him. Messi Lingard, probably arguably the most informed player in Europe right now. um,
I'm going to argue with that.
just he's just been brilliant. And last night, I think we're seeing a confidence from him now that we probably haven't seen since the World Cup 3 years ago. He's just playing with the swagger that he's got. That's just yeah, it's great to watch. And yeah, I couldn't really think of anyone sort of around that 6 to 6.5 mark where like or even between 6 and 8 million that I really want instead of him at the moment. Um, so yeah, I think I'm going to gamble on him continuing with this run of form into the end of the season. I think he's really pushing for a late shout into the England squad for the Euros. I think his move to West Ham, like on a personal level, was like get playing football and see if you can get yourself on that plane. And I think at the moment he's given himself a great case to be going as part of the England squad. And then last up is James Ward-Prowse. Now this is just like a 1 week punt. Um, Southampton have got West Brom next. Yeah, their fixtures aren't great moving into the end of the season. They've got Spurs, then they've got the blank, then they've got Leicester, Liverpool, then Fulham, Leeds, West Ham. But we said time and time again how poor West Brom are from set pieces, and they're playing against the best person in the league at set pieces in James Ward-Prowse. So I'm taking a little gamble on him for 1 week. It does the way I've planned my team. It's left me enough money in the bank to and move him out next week and bring in Son for the double. So yeah, there's a method to the madness. Yeah, doubling up on Southampton, as we'll talk about shortly, it isn't something that's going to be for more than this week. I fancy them to do something against West Brom. They played really well at the weekend. They look like they've got plenty of goals in them. I think the international break did Danny Ings a world of good to get his fitness back. So yeah, James Ward-Prowse is my final midfielder. How's your midfield looking?
So, again, similar to defence, I've kind of got a pool of about 8 players for midfield, and this is where I'm really struggling. So at the moment, I've gone Maddison, Lingard, Salah, Jota, and Son. Firstly, Maddison, Leicester have got like an incredible run from 32 to 35. You know, they've got Palace, Southampton, Newcastle. No, 32, they've got West Brom, Palace, Southampton, Newcastle, like 4 great fixtures. And I really want to try and take advantage. The original plan was to have Vardy, Iheanacho, and Maddison, but I can't fit in Vardy. So I want to try and fit in Vardy, but I'm really struggling here. And then, do you want to bring up the screen again, Rob?
Yep.
So then I got Lingard. He stays in for me, as Rob said already. Great run of fixtures, great run of form. I can't be taking him out. And then the tough kind of ones for me are Salah, Jota, and Son. I really want to try and get Bruno in, but it's so difficult with Maddison in as well. And it kind of leaves me in a position where I've got 8 starters really, because you've got 5 midfielders: Maddison, Lingard, Salah, Jota, and Son, and up front I've got spoiler Cavani, Iheanacho, and Kane. So it's like, who do I not play there every week? I'm just going to have a benching absolute headache, along with a strong defense. So I need to try and work this out somehow. That who do I actually want? Because I want everyone at the moment. So I think the easiest thing for me to do would be to double up on TAA and Jota, which means that I can lose Salah and have Bruno. You know, Son and Kane, I'm getting them just for protection, really, because everyone's going to have them in 32 for the double. Son obviously got his haul against Southampton earlier on in the season. But other players, that I've thought about, if we have a look at the fixtures again, we've got Bruno. Obviously, United have got a really good run of fixtures. Neto, that you spoke about. Notably, you'll see from my team, I've got no City in there at the moment. One of the defenders that we didn't mention was Diaz. I think Diaz is a good option as well. I could easily bring in Diaz, but I don't trust the City midfield like with Pep. So I haven't gone with any City midfielders. And that's really my options at the moment. It's going to be, I think, 5 from what I've got at the moment, plus from Bruno. So Maddison, Lingard, Salah, Jota, Son, Bruno's an option, and Neto's an option. So I think probably 5 from those 7.
Yeah,
For me.
I mean, we've just touched on City, and it's probably a good place because of their strength in midfield. It's probably a good place just to talk about why we haven't gone with the City players. I mean, over their next 6 games, I think only 2 of them are Premier League fixtures out of their
Wow.
next 6. So they've just played Dortmund tonight. Well, I think it's their next 5 games, because that included the Dortmund game tonight. Then they've got Leeds, then they got Villa, then they've got Spurs, then they got Leeds, then they got Dortmund again, then they got Villa, then they've got who are they playing in the FA Cup? Someone in the FA Cup. Then they've got Spurs in the League Cup. It's just they've got so many games, and with the FA Cup fixture, there'll be rotation beforehand. The Champions League, if they do finish the job against Dortmund, they've got Bayern. So I could see Pep just like, I think the only safe option at City
Is
between now,
Edison.
yeah, and even him, like
And
if,
even Diaz maybe.
well, the
Diaz is
thing
the
is,
safest.
if they've got the title wrapped up by, like, they could have it wrapped up by 33 or 34.
Yeah,
And if they've got the title wrapped up and they're in the semi-finals of the Champions League, he could be fucking sticking Scott Carson in goal, um,
yeah,
like, and sticking all the kids out for the end of the season, because that's City's holy grail is the European Cup. It's the one trophy they have not won, and Pep was brought in to get it, and I think this season is his best chance of getting it. I think it's I think it's the best squad that he's had, um, since he's been there. Like, oh, you could argue, yeah, he had Aguero like closer to his peak. Like he's got Aguero now at the end. But like that's their weakest position, is the number 9 spot. The rest of the pitch, they've got 3 or 4 players that could play like in those positions. Um, so yeah, I just don't like City for like the rotation element, and we've seen it in the double game weeks, um, where we've been left disappointed with, um, various players all missing out. Like, no one's escaped Pep Roulette, in the last, what, 10 to 12 game weeks. It's been horrific, and it's actually probably a good thing that they got even more fixture congestion, because you can kind of just go, right, I won't touch them and I can enjoy the rest of the season as well, and not have to worry about the Pep Roulette. Um, so yeah, I think it's just fallen right to just go, right. I don't need City assets unless you want to and go and bring in Edison and just have play him every week. Like, you go Edison and Scott Carson. Um, and yeah, you just play Edison every week. You probably still get done by Pep Roulette, like when they play Newcastle in game week 36, and yeah, Edison doesn't play. Um, but yeah, I just thought it was a good time to touch on City, and people probably might be going, why have they got no City players? But yeah, that's why I don't I don't want the stress of it. I think it's stressful enough trying to pick, um, a team of 15, let alone then having them benched unexpectedly.
it's a fair point. Yeah, it's a fair point.
So
Strikers.
finally on to strikers. So I've gone Harry Kane, um, double game week coming up, um, where he's like, I think a lot of people will be whacking the triple captaincy on him, because they're two favourable. They're not easy fixtures. They're favourable fixtures, against Southampton and Everton. So yeah, gone with Harry. I think in the next, like, between now and the end of the season, I think he can get another, 6 or 7 goals. Like, he just shoots on sight, doesn't he? Um, and most of the time it goes on target. He seems to be on set pieces, which is a strange one. He's not renowned for his free kicks, but, the last couple of weeks we've seen him taking the free kicks, for Spurs. Um, obviously when Bale's not on the pitch. Um, but yeah, I can't see. I think the way that things have fallen at Spurs now, I can't see Bale, um, starting much again between now and the end of the season.
Yeah,
Um, Next up, Danny Ings. Again, that West Brom fixture, um, this week in, yeah, game week 31. It's just too good to ignore for him. Um, Originally, I was thinking of Werner, um, but I think I just I'm struggling to find, like, too many pros to go against all the cons, and I think we saw even more cons against West Brom at the weekend. His assist for Pulisic, what was going on there? Like he's 6 yards out,
He
and
should be shooting.
yeah, he's been paid to score goals, and he's 6 yards out, and fair enough, he plays the unselfish pass, but for someone that is low on confidence, fucking put your foot through it and stick it in the back of the net, mate.
Yeah,
So, and I think it was that moment when I saw that happen, I was like, yeah, he's not in my wildcard team.
yeah.
When he was a strong candidate 3 weeks ago. So yeah, Danny Ings, but again, I've left a bit of money in the bank so that he could possibly, if I fancied it, become Vardy. If not, then yeah, there's a few other players, or I might just completely um, downgrade down to like Antonio or someone like that for the end of the season. But again, Antonio went off injured, so fitness dependent. Um, and then finally, Kaleki Iheanacho.
You said it right. Well done.
um, yeah, brilliant value. From what I gather from seeing what most Leicester fans are saying, Madison coming in does not mean Iheanacho goes out. It'll probably be Perez that loses out. Rightfully so. He hasn't done anything to earn his spot in that lineup, and Iheanacho has. Yeah, that price with those fixtures for Leicester, um, like we've just spoken about it, and it's like, 32 West Brom, 33 Palace, 34 Southampton, 35 Newcastle. Like if I get like 2 or 3 returns out of him over that period, then I'm happy, and I'm confident that he'll get more than 2 or 3 returns in that time, and then I'll probably like gamble on him for against like United. It's worth a gamble because he's quick, get in behind defences, and United are like Maguire or the Chuckle brothers, Maguire and Lindelof, just not quick, and players can get in behind them, like we saw Welbeck do a couple of times the other night. So I think for the last 7 or 8 game weeks, he's definitely probably worth starting in 5 of them. And you're not pressured to start him because of his price tag. It's not like even like Bamford and players like that. You almost feel a bit pressured to start them because potentially they could return in any game, and the price tag and everything. But that's one thing that Iheanacho hasn't got is the price tag. So if I get to game week 36 and I don't fancy Iheanacho against United, I'm happy to bench him, and I'm happy to bench him in 37. I'm happy to bench him in 38. So what about your forwards then?
So I've gone with Kane and Iheanacho. Those two are a lock. We've spoken about you. Well, you've spoken about Kane and Iheanacho, and I echo your thoughts on that. The third one could be one of a few. I've currently got Cavani in there, and that's mainly because I haven't got Bruno. Martial is injured probably for the rest of the season, so I think Cavani starts most games. And I think he's a really good option. Other options that could go in there, as I said, I really want to attack those Leicester fixtures. So if I can squeeze in Vardy, he's my preferred number one option. Um, Other ones that I've thought about is Vidra from Burnley. If I'm going with a power 5 midfield, then I don't want to have that benching headache every week. So I think having a third, Vidra seems to be playing every single week at the moment. Burnley have got a couple of good fixtures, not great, so he won't be a starter. He'll just be like there on the bench to come on. So notably in 31, they've got Newcastle. 33, they've got Wolves. 35, they've got Fulham. 36, they've got Leeds. and 38 they've got is that Sheffield United?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sheffield United at 38. I can't see it. So yeah, look, they've got some good fixtures. So I think having him as a third option is not bad, but it kind of depends how I want to play it. The other options that I said that I don't think I mentioned earlier from my midfield, I could have Rafinha in there, and if I do end up going Rafinha, then I won't start him in 31 to 34, 33. So Vigil could come in for him. So I'm not really sure about that third position at the moment, but it'll probably be one of Cavani, Vardy, or Vidra, I think. And he got a goal and assist the other day as well. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm looking at. But I think this will all change come Saturday. Like I say, there's only, I would say, 5 or 6 locks for me. So I've got Kane and Iheanacho who are a lock, Jota's a lock, Lingard's a lock, and Masuaku, and then probably Forster. So that's 6 definites, and then all the others could potentially change. I think a lot will help with tomorrow. I think Chelsea are playing tomorrow, aren't they? Champions League. So depending on who they start with, that will help me decide for the Chelsea defence who I go for. And then it's kind of just working out, one of the things that I did was write down my captains who from the fixtures from 31 to kind of 37 who I really like for captains. I left 38 because 38 is like a wild card. You could kind of choose anyone as a captain for there really. But in general, and this isn't from players that I've necessarily picked. This is just in general who I like for best captain. So for 31, I like KDB, Salah, and Jota. For 32, I like Bruno, Salah, Jota, Kane, Son. Any one of those. 33, Salah, Jota, Bruno, Vardy, or a Leicester attacker. 34, Kane, Son, and a Leicester attacker. 35, Kane, Son, Salah, Jota. 36, Salah, Jota. 37, Bruno and KDB. So I'm kind of going to try and base my team around those main players. And the names Kane, Son, Salah, Jota, Bruno, and a Leicester attacker came up quite a lot. So that's who I'm going to try and do it around, which is why originally I didn't have Bruno and I didn't do this captaincy. But then the more that I'm kind of, after I did this, I'm like, I kind of need Bruno, and Cavani won't cover him. And it's not necessarily that obviously you can't have all those players that I've said in as your captain for 1 week, but if they're good enough to be your captain, they're good enough to be in your team.
I mean,
So yeah, that's kind of
with Vardy, you can almost do like a little hokey cokey with Kane in 33, and just go Kane to Vardy in 33, and then Vardy to Kane in 34, like if you wanted to. So then you've got Vardy at home to Palace in 33, and then you go back to Kane, and you've got him at home to Sheffield United in 34, and
that's an option.
that's something that I'm currently thinking about. It's just only having Vardy for the 1 week, but it's Vardy for 1 week rather than having to bench have Harry Kane and all the millions that he costs sitting on your bench for the week. I think it all depends on for me, like on other players, like that for game week 33, because of the blank, it means that sort of there's a lot of other players that are like definitely captainable as well. But if Vardy starts appearing in lots of teams in 32, it might just force the hand a little bit, just as more of a defensive move rather than attacking game week 33. You might have to bring Vardy in just to defend your rank if he suddenly if he bangs in 32 and then you think, oh shit, everyone's going to buy him and he's got Palace at home. So yeah, it's one to like kind of takes the pressure off maybe having to bring him in on the wild card when there's that little hokey cokey, as it were, with Harry Kane.
Anything else to discuss for wildcards?
Not really. I mean, yeah,
We've covered it in quite detail.
my team. I think the only thing that's up in the air at the moment is TAA. I could move him down to a Rudiger or a Says or someone else, and then move Ward-Prowse, and instead of gambling on Son, just bring in Salah straight away. So yeah, that's my only real conundrum, is whether I want it's basically TAA or Salah for me. But at the moment, I'm quite happy as it is. But yeah, it's something that I'll probably have to watch the Liverpool game against Madrid again, just to see how much I want Mohamed Salah and how much I want TAA, and who do I think is the better option, because both of them, their ceilings are incredibly high. Like TAA gets if he gets a clean sheet and an assist, then he generally comes along with 2 or 3 bonus points as well. While Salah, if he scores, he generally picks up the bonus. So yeah, it's one to ponder for the next couple of days.
Indeed. Well, obviously, as we spoke about, our wildcards are really up in the air. So what we're going to plan to do is on Thursday night, we're going to have a wildcard lock-in, I guess. So we'll do our 5v5 as well. We'll discuss the results of the 5v5 in a second, but we'll do our 5v5 on Thursday, and then we'll kind of show where we're at with our wildcards so far. I think most of them will probably be 90% there or thereabouts. And that'll be after Champman at 10:30. So we'll be on YouTube live. So please join us. We'll drop out a message just to confirm everything. But yeah, do join us. In terms of our 5v5 for last week, I smashed you out of the park, mate. My one of my 2 players. So I had Areola, Alonso, Lingard, Rafinha, and Kane. You had Meslier, Aspilicueta, Bruno, Foden, and DCL. You scored 10 points. I scored 35 points. So bear in mind, I had Kane and Lingard. Either one of them outscored your whole 5 players. So yeah, I could have just had one player versus your 5 and smashed you. So yeah, I mean, in your defense, you couldn't have Lingard because your algorithm doesn't probably doesn't factor in Lingard, does he? Because he kind of only really played in the last few months.
He hasn't played enough minutes to be included, but he'd probably be top of the list. He'd be right up there because of his points per 90. But yeah, because of the amount, I think at the moment, like for the upcoming week, the players had to have played 1,300 minutes to be eligible for the planners team. But yeah, it's disappointing really, considering how confident I felt with it after we picked it last week. But it just the DCL blank kind of ruined it all, as well as everything else. I mean, that whole team, Pep Roulette killed it. Everything killed it.
Yeah. Well, we've got a few questions, and I've just had a look, and none of them are fantasy related, which is fine. But considering we said we're recording this week's pod, our main port of call discussion will be our wildcards. Get your questions in. None of them were about FPL, but let's get them covered anyway. So first one comes from @StewLord. who asks, "What's your favourite snack to go with beer, and why is it Snyder's jalapeno pretzel pieces?" It's basically just assumed that. But what's yours, Rob?
To go with beer, scratchings, pork scratchings. I
Yeah.
like. Yeah, either pork scratchings or peanuts.
We've discussed before, I don't really like beer, but I could imagine those jalapeno pretzel pieces sound fucking amazing, and I'd probably love them. I have had them before, like jalapeno pieces, but just not with beer. But yeah, I'd probably agree with that.
You're more of a strawberries and prosecco kind of guy,
Pretty
aren't you?
much, mate. Pretty much. The next one is from Steve Bird. Would you rather be a speedy hedgehog with a flying fox for a friend, or a plumber obsessed with mushrooms and a princess?
I'd rather be the speedy hedgehog.
I agree, mate. I agree. I would rather be a
Um,
speedy hedgehog.
yeah, can't be dealing with princesses or mushrooms.
Right, the next one is from Fantasy Football Collective. Um, if you had to pick a team in Scotland, France, and Italy to support, which ones would you choose and why?
This is actually quite a good question.
Yeah,
We'll start with Italy, 'cause it's the easiest for me. Is Juve because of my boy Cristiano. Um, yeah, I think it's quite easy. Although, like for family ties, maybe Roma. Um, but yeah, probably Juve for the Cristiano Ronaldo. France. Ugh, I hate PSG, but I like watching them play.
yeah.
I don't hate PSG. I hate Angel Di Maria. He's a fucking prick. Um, but yeah, I really enjoy watching PSG play. So yeah, probably them. And then from Scotland, and when I was younger, I've always liked Rangers, but it's probably because they went like winning the league 10 years in on the trot when I was a kid. So, but maybe Aberdeen. Again, family ties from my mum's side of family. So yeah, that'll that'll be that.
For me, uh, let's go with Italy first. I really like Napoli. They play really kind of like expansive football. I like the ties with Maradona. But yeah, I really like Napoli. France, similar to you, PSG play great football. They're really good to watch. And Scotland, I'll say Rangers, and that's more because like like a few years ago, I think it was 10 years ago, maybe now, they got relegated and went back to like Division Three and worked their way back up after winning the title for so many years, and then just managed to kind of like rebrand themselves and obviously now won the title. And I think that takes a lot of work, considering like obviously when they started, having been relegated, they lost a lot of their good players and had to kind of work themselves back up. I think they've done really well. So yeah,
Yeah,
Rangers for me.
I think they're a great story this season. It's just a shame about the manager.
Next question is from FPL Thomas. What are your thoughts about a collab podcast with FPL Happy Hour? The not as in not us, but FPL Happy Hour, the people that copied us.
Um, I think I replied to this with just a GIF of the kid with the like straight face, just like a that's all. That's yeah.
He then followed that up with, "That's a shame. They are probably the best FPL Happy Hour podcast out there."
Well, don't like you either, Thomas.
But yeah, that is all the questions I believe from this week. Anything else to cover before we go?
No, I think we've covered everything. It's just late night lock in, wildcard lock in on Thursday night, and then for people just to keep trying to find countries, people from countries to come and chat with us ahead of the
Indeed.
Euros.
Indeed. Right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We are a relatively new pod. although people do try to steal our name. So any feedback is really important to us. You can find us on Twitter, FPL_Happy Hour, just to repeat that, it's FPL_Happy Hour, not FPL Happy Hour. We're also on a number of podcasts, including Spotify and Google Podcasts, and our YouTube channel is FPL Happy Hour. Please like, subscribe, and share. All your retweets are really appreciated. So until then, have a great couple of days, and we will catch up with you on Thursday before our late night lock-in. Good night.
Cheers, guys. Good night.